Thank you for tuning into our podcast. We are coming to you from Chicopee, Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining me is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Como. He offers both public and private tours, as well as presentations of the local canal systems, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks and streets in Holyoke, South Hadley, and Chicopee, Mass. Now you actually lead these tours and give these presentations yourself, is that correct?
That's right, and this is right in the middle where I give tours.
And so today we'll be talking about the Holyoke Water Power Mill. So tell us about the Holyoke Water Power Mill and buildings.
Alright, so this was a series of innovation mills that they started in order to get smaller startup companies to come in and rent out space and then hopefully succeed and go out elsewhere, just like an innovation district. And so there was two of them. There was the Holyoke Water Power Mill. That was located on Cabot Street. It's between the first and second level canal, so it was taking in canal water. And the building's still there. The back half is gone, but the two wings in the front are still there. It's from the year 1880. And it was successful. A lot of business came in there and went on to other places in Holyoke and succeeded elsewhere. So there's also another part though, and that other part was where the Far Alpaca Mill number 3 is left, and that's right above the first level canal, and that was a place where even tinier companies could come in and hopefully again succeed, and they did, and that lasted for a while. In both cases, both these innovation mills, the mill and the building, were bought out at some point by outside companies, and then the innovation stopped. But for as long as they were around, they succeeded. And then it was a great idea. I wonder who came up with the concept, but it definitely succeeded. So talk about during this presentation what they were about, where they're located, what companies were each one, and then what became of them.
So where were these located?
Okay, so location of the two, and they're both still, there are buildings still there. The one on Cabot Street called the Holyoke Water Power Mill is still there almost in its entirety. It's about 3/4 of the way there. It's between the first and second level canal. It still has a front that looks like a mill, and few people know that inside there was invented electricity. It was the first place in Holyoke that used electricity for any use. There was a Skylar turbine inside of there, and in 1884, the first bit of electricity ever in Holyoke was made there. But it also was the mill for these small startup companies, and we'll talk about those companies along the way. Now, the other mill is officially not there. It was bought out by Far Alpaca, and their mill number 3 took over, but it was located right above the first level canal, between Canal Street and Appleton Street. Its successor is still there, but its innovation buildings are long gone, and that's too bad. But at least part of these are still around.
And so quickly before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to find out more information or sign up for any of his various tours, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there he has both videos of the various stops along each tour and also past and present photos of the historical sites throughout as well. And if you're interested in setting up a private tour, you can email him directly at bobcat4214, and they are perfect for fun, educational, outdoor activities for the whole family, or for your group parties, especially those special occasions and get-togethers. And they are also good just for getting outdoors for the day. So getting back to our interview, what companies were in each one?
Okay, the ones that were in the mill on Cabot Street, I'll tell you, in the early 1880s, remember it started in 1880 itself, but in the early 1880s, there was a Chadwick Imitation Seal Company, the Whitmore Paper Company, and the Holyoke Envelope Company. The last two of those would move onwards and become very successful on their own mill around Holyoke. By the late 1880s, they were joined by the B.F. Nichols Belt Manufactory and the McCallum Constable Hosiery. And National Blank Books were there for a while when they moved on. Um, and so now you had five companies in there. The only one that had left was Holyoke Envelope Company had moved off to Main Street. By the 1890s, you had the Chadwick, the Whitmore, the Nichols, and the National Blank Book. The McCallum Hosiery Company had left, so it was still being heavily used. By the early 1900s, Holyoke Water Power decided they were going to sell it, and they sold it to Crocker McElwain Company. I think it was the the first decade of 1900s that it was sold off. So that was a big sale. And when it was taken over by Crocker McElwain, they stayed there for about 50 years before it was taken over by the Riverview Company, which made paper. All right, now, besides that main mill on Cabot Street, remember I told you that they had another mill that was on right above the first level canal, and there was a Buttrick Spindle Company was there. Farapaka had a storage site there. And then there was another very small company on the southern tip of it. And so all these companies were in a smaller place. Now, that stayed there from sometime late 1880s until about early 19 teens. And then Farapaka, which was one of the occupants of this building, it was a very long building that went the length of a city block. They decided that we want to take this place over, and Holyoke Water Power sold it off to them. And what they do, they knocked everything down, and they built their own mill. And it was called Farapaka Mill Number 3. Their mill number 1 was between the second level canal, right across the canal from where they're building mill number 3. So they built this one up, and it was mostly a storage site and a drying site for the alpaca wool.
And what has become of each one?
Okay, now the Cabot Street Mill, which was the first innovation mill from 1880, is still there, and there's still production in it. I wish it would become more used. I believe the ground floor of most of it is used, but the second floor is not. But at least it's still there, and only the back half, a quarter of it is gone. The other one I just mentioned, it was actually knocked down by Far Alpaca Mill number 3. But at least that Far Alpaca portion is still there. It's the only Far Alpaca building left, but it's not the original Holyoke Water Power building itself. And they're going to be putting apartments as of the year 2023 into that Far Alpaca Mill number 3. And so it's a decent use.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on the tours. And we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And you can tune into a large section of our other podcasts and much more at his website. And again, that's holyokecanaltour.org. And again, you can email him directly for private tours or to inquire about anything else at bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com. And be sure to keep an eye out for his upcoming 2024 season tours and more as they become available. Thank you for tuning in.